What's up, people? Welcome to our live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about the entries for our August Art Dare. And if you want to learn how to turn your artistic weakness into your strength, check out artprof.org, where we have lots of free resources, tutorials, critiques, art dares, and all that good stuff. So, Clara, why don't you get us started on the entries?
Yeah, the art dare was to create a fantasy vehicle using at least 3 reference photos. So the first artist we're going to take a look at is Ellen Goncharov. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Ellen is from the US. And Ellen did a 3D submission, which I was super stoked to see because I think people need to make more 3D art. And Ellen says that during COVID, I'm constantly washing my hands, constantly cleaning things. So I thought I can express that through this clay piece. And Ellen also said that she watched the Antique Cars live stream with Jordan and Kat, and that after watching that stream, she felt inspired to try it out and ended up really loving this vehicle. And these are the reference photos. Like, this just makes me die that it's a bus in London, a loofah, and 2 shampoo bottles. What do you think of this, Jordan?
You know, I remember seeing this in the Discord, and I immediately thought this was hilarious. I absolutely love the creativity, especially of the shampoo bottles. Like I never would have thought to do that. And then as I look closer, I'm just noticing like the Q-tips on the side, and you have the loofah as the wheels. It's just brilliant, and it's really funny. And yeah, I feel like it could also be functional in a particular universe one day.
You know what I think is super smart is that Ellen took her own photo of the 2 shampoo bottles lined up the way that she was going to do it in the sculpture. And so, of course, you're not going to fly to London and get a picture of that bus. But I really think Ellen did a great job of that and was so thorough with her process because she took the reference photos. This is her pencil sketch. And then she has all these progress photos of putting together all the clay parts, painting the surfaces. I just love seeing how much went into this piece, and it's hilarious. I mean, it's such a quirky, almost awkward vehicle. You're like, I don't think this thing works that well, does it? Like, that cracks me up.
I don't know if it will work, but I would like to see it work. And I feel like I talked about this in a previous stream, maybe with Alex, but there's a car in Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory where he's like, it's like the soap mobile thing. And this kind of gives me the same vibes. It's just like, it's so wacky and odd, but it's also really charming and fun. And I think that's what's really carrying this forward and really making us enjoy it the way that we are.
And it's so funny because the inspiration for Ellen's piece is so simple. It's just COVID, always washing your hands. And it shows that your idea doesn't have to be fancy. And yet it ended up with this really cool, whimsical vehicle. So great job, Ellen. Just all around, this piece is so wonderfully put together. All right, the next artist we're going to look at is Emily Paxman. And Emily actually did 2 pieces. So this is the first one, we have a second one. And so this one's called Stingray City. And Emily explains the idea for the story is of a archipelago, I don't know how to say that, empire, where the seas are not safe to travel because of sea monsters. And the only solution was to domesticate the sea monsters and use them to take people between the scattered islands. It's just so cool. I love that there's a whole world and explanation. What do you think, Jordan?
I always really enjoyed things like that where you have a whole world on the back of an animal. Like I think in some ancient cultures, like the whole world's on the back of a turtle, or in Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's like a world on top of a lion turtle type of thing. It's just a lot of fun, and I think that this fits that as well. And just have it underwater, now it makes you want to think like, oh, is this like what Atlantis would be in a different setting?
Caitlin says, that sounds so cool. Maria Kelson says, I like the story. And we did find, Jordan, that with a lot of these entries, people didn't just design a cool car, they actively worked on stories that really determined how they actually designed the vehicles. Like contemporary Sumera says, I love that she built an entire backstory. Really cool. Like in concept art, Jordan, you're always egging people to make the story first before they design the character. It enhances it.
Yep. I'm so proud that Emily decided to do that and just create a story behind it, because it always makes a design better when you can add a humorous element to it, and it just really grabs people's attention.
And Emmy is live with us in the chat, who says, I do plan on writing it someday. Go for it, because sometimes these stories, they start small, but then they grow into something a lot bigger. Okay, this is Emily's second piece, and it's called The Apocalypse Will Be Adorable. And so what Emily did was she worked during this stream with Jordan and Alex, where they were drawing these fantasy vehicles. And what Emily did was she used these photos that I'd shot of the oil refinery and also the cucumbers. And she said, I don't work in ink wash that often, but Alex was doing it on the stream. Always grateful for the push art prof gives me to try new things. What do you think of this?
I love this. This feels like a maze. It just feels like I honestly want to see Mario like running through it and like, stomping on Goombas and stuff. It just seems like a fun world, just like the last piece that you did. And I think that's going to be a strength, not just in these pieces, but in any future project you do. If you keep that same mindset of building story and fun worlds, you're always going to end up with something really, really unique.
Emmy says, story definitely came first with this one. I first started thinking about it when I went to Thailand and saw all the contraptions on elephant backs. That is awesome that you were pulling it from so many different experiences. And great comment here from Blue, who says, I love this one. It is adorable. I know. I just never thought that a vehicle could be cute, but it's funny. It looks prickly, like it's almost like a cactus car. Like I don't really want to touch it, but it's really adorable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. I want to know who drives this. Like, is it some like kind of grungy old man, or is it like a 4-year-old just having fun who like hijacked it? Like there's so many things you could do with that.
Seven Angelic says it's like a Playmobil with Mad Max. I would say that's accurate. And
Cool.
another good point from Paula, who says, I can't believe Emily doesn't work in ink wash often. This is great. Well, that's what we have found is so valuable about the art dares, is that people do try things that maybe they've been a little bit hesitant about, but the art dare, it's almost like a little sandbox that we give you for the month. And you can leave the sandbox at the end of the month, it's fine. But some people stay and they build larger things, and it's wonderful to see that. Emmy says, I feel like the villains in a picture book would drive it. It would make ridiculous sounds as it moved. Great.
Yes. Yes. That's canon. It has to be. That's the solution right there. There's nothing else. There's no other options.
All right. The next artist we're going to look at is Airly Stockslager from the US. And boy, Airly, you were really productive because there's a lot of pieces that we're going to go through here. So Airly says that she started with loose organics and florals and then searched for ways in which industrial forms mimic the organic, and that she explored time periods with leaps in transportation technology like in the 1900s and 1960s, and aimed to create whimsy through details and color. Well, we've got a lot of reference photos here, Jordan, and it's so wonderful to see these. How do you think Airly did?
I think my favorite thing as a unit, as a set, is just how many different vehicles you're pulling from. Like you have airplanes, bikes, and then a car, and then you have like a rocket kind of attached to it. Like you're pulling from all these different sources and combining them. And then this camper here, and all these things are recognizable, but you've enhanced it in such a way to make it your own. And I think that's sort of the key that we look for as people who are going through all this artwork. What makes things stand out?
Well, a lot of people ask me, how do I get beyond my reference photo? And Airly, I think you did a slam dunk here, because the key thing is that, first of all, there's a lot of photos. Airly didn't limit herself to just a few, and they're all like mushed together. It's like it's dramatically transformed, because oftentimes when people stay too close to the photo, it just looks like you're copying it. But I look at these vehicles, and I totally believe them, as objects. They don't look like just a mishmash of things. They're really fun.
Mm-hmm. With the car one in particular, I actually started having flashbacks to the Back to the Future DeLorean a little bit. Like it's something about it just feels like they will be connected. Like Doc built this, you know? Like like I feel like Marty could just be flying around there and going on an adventure in space, like part 4 of the movie series, you know?
You know there's a part 4 coming, right?
Wait, what? Are you serious?
There's a Back to the Future 4. It's coming. I saw the preview the other day on YouTube.
And you didn't tell me this?
I'm supposed to be your movie pipeline? Like, I thought you would already know about it.
You are. Yes, you do that all the time.
I guess it's my job to keep you updated on 80s remake movies. And by the way, we've got some cool comments from Paige, who says the car in space would make an amazing fabric pin. It looks like it could be an 80s sheet set. Seven Angelic says that car needs its own movie. That's really cool. Yes. And you know what else is super smart, Jordan, is that Airly created an environment for these places. I love how this trailer vehicle, you can see a little bit of these misty trees in the background. And so it doesn't take away from the vehicle. You still focus on the vehicle, but like this one would not be as funny if it didn't have these planets.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know, whenever I design a character, one of the things that's always important is to put it in the context of the world. Sometimes if you just see the design straight up, you don't really get an understanding, which is why when you combine story and then you provide the context, like the background and then the actual design, then you get a full picture and it becomes a lot more fun and a lot more closer to what I imagine you see in your head.
Yeah, really cool. And by the way, a lot of work went into this. I mean, these are really detailed paintings. I just feel like I could go in and analyze all the mechanics that are involved in some of these areas. And it's believable for that reason, because I think Airly was just so thorough about all the line work. Like Emmy says, I love the fine pen line work. It always looks awesome, coupled with watercolor, but can be so hard to do. Absolutely. Oh, and this one too. I like this one especially though, because it's got 2 organic objects. The other ones, it seems like Airly was more doing vehicles and metal objects and stuff, but this one's so funky.
Yeah. This feels like something that the characters in A Bug's Life would create. You know, just like, hey, you know, what was his name? Flick, how you come up with like all these crazy inventions. Like this looks like a Flick invention right here. And I think this is so much fun, especially like the petals of the flower being like the propellers. That's just awesome.
So Maria says, I love the high detail combined with the textured paper. People don't usually pair them. I know the texture is really visible in these pieces. And I know some people are sometimes worried about that getting in the way, but I think this is really nicely done. Oh, it's a fake trailer? Oh my gosh, I'm such a dummy. I can't tell what's real anymore, Jordan. This is a problem for all my movie things.
Dang. I was real excited for about 45 and a half seconds, and now my dreams are crushed. Oh, well, at least you have the original trilogy. At least we have that.
All right, so the next artist we're going to look at is Odette from the Netherlands, who says, my reference photos were ostriches because they're both elegant and dinosaur-like drawings of architect Lieu. I don't know how to pronounce that name, and the street lantern in front of the house I grew up in. I was also thinking about this Orwellian animal farm idea when I was making this, where we only use animals and don't see them as living beings. That is, okay, so we have ostrich, architect's drawings, and a street lantern in front of the house Odette grew up in. What do you think, Jordan?
Wow, that's intense. I want to know what this story is about too, because like there's so much more than that's on the surface. But I love the idea that these vehicles actually just have ostrich legs. Like there's something so funny about that, and I'm surprised that we haven't seen more of that. You know, just like, not that there's a problem with wheels or anything, but just like, yeah, let's just put it on legs, like it's a weird mech or something. Like that's awesome to me.
Well, I think these really don't look like the quote stereotypical vehicles. We think about machinery and metal and wires and all those types of things. And these are so elegant. I feel like they're going to jump up and start doing a ballet or something. I don't know. They have so much character to them. It's so different.
I could see them going down the catwalk for sure.
Yeah. They need heels or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Odette, what I was going to say, I love that it's the street lamp on the street near the house you grew up in. Like, that's super specific. And I think, as we saw earlier, the more you can draw from things that are specific and not so generic, I don't know, it's like it enhances the work. It makes it more your own, because a lot of artists are always asking me, oh, well, how do I stand out? And I'm like, well, there's a lot of acrylic painters out there. There's a lot of acrylic painters that paint abstract pieces, but how many acrylic painters do that and own a goose lamp? Lauren does, right? It's like you have to find a way to get to some of those specifics.
Of course, Lauren owns a goose lamp. Why am I not surprised?
Ray V says these are very graceful vehicles. They're headed to the ballet for sure. And Jane says, yes, makes me think of ballet dancers, maybe the ostriches in Fantasia. Oh, yeah, those were so goofy, though. They were really awkward in that movie. It was adorable, right?
I like them. Yeah, I like them. They were cool. They were fun.
Seven Angelic says, I can hear the music in the background, Nutcracker Symphony. Cool. And I would also say, Jordan, that the light value in this piece fits how graceful these are, because I know oftentimes people want, oh, high contrast and a broad range of values, but I don't think I'd want to see really blacks in this piece. I think it would take away from the lightness and the gracefulness of the figures. What do you think?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think when I think of high contrast images and it's just black and white, I think of very gritty comic books, like a Batman comic or something like that from Jim Lee. And this is probably not in that direction, I imagine, based on what I know from the storyline. So I think that fits. Having something softer, a little bit more delicate, a little bit more nuanced, I think works really well.
Seven Angelic says, wait, is there a little one that fell over on the ground? Oh my gosh, there is. I didn't even see it. Do you see the lower left-hand corner?
Yeah, poor little guy.
Let's look at Aya's piece, which has the coolest colors. I believe this was inspired by a jellyfish. And then you can also see in the last image, there's a stapler in there.
Yeah, I think that's a great combination. It's one of those things where you just pick up two random cards, sort of like what's the game, Apples to Apples, where you just have two, a jellyfish and a stapler. Why would anyone think to put those together? I don't know how you did, but you made it. You put them together and you made it work. And I think it's incredibly creative and a lot of fun. And I want to see what this car drives like. I want to go in it and I want to see the luminescent colors and everything. I think it's just awesome.
Well, also, I get the feeling that this vehicle is moving right now. It's funny how people made different choices. Like some people, the vehicle was just there. Other people, it was dancing like the ostriches. And this one is like going full speed. Like this thing is just burning it up on the highway. Yeah. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it gives it a certain character because vehicles can go slow and they can go fast. And this one's going nuts.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? In the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the third one, there's a scene where Harry's on a night bus and it's like a purple bus that just drives incredibly fast through the city. And it gives me those vibes. Like it's just one of those crazy vehicles that's just like going in and out and doing its thing. And for some reason doesn't ever crash. Like I just love that.
Reeve says, a stapler and a jellyfish. Wow. The reference combinations are fantastic. And Sarah Blam says, I love the expression of the exhaust. I just noticed the driver has an error message on their screen. Oh, I didn't even see that. That is a really cool little hidden Easter egg in there. All right. Let's take a look at Sarah Mcgill, who I believe is live with us in the chat. Sarah is from Canada. And she said that she loves to capture the flora, fauna, and scenes in my life. I have 2 Boston Terriers, Leah and Fenton. And Sarah says, our family's always inventing silly stories or songs about our dogs. And so Sarah decided to design cars for her dogs, 2 dogs right now in her past dog. So this is Leah's dream vehicle. And Sarah says in the notes that Leah gets car sick. And here are the references. Apparently, a burrito was part of this recipe. And then this is Leroy's dream vehicle. And Sarah says, Leroy always had to see out front and had the worst farts of all. Okay, good to know. Here are the references. And this is Fenton's dream vehicle. He wants to sit next to a human. What do you think, Jordan?
I think these are absolutely brilliant. I love the bouncy house. I love the burrito. Like everything is so much fun. And I also remember seeing this one in the Discord, and I went and read through all the little notes, and I was cracking up the whole time. Like it's so clever and so fun, and it's just a gem overall. All of these pieces have me laughing in the best way possible.
Yeah, Sarah is here live us in the chat who says, yay and thank you. I know the notes are so funny that Sarah writes, air vents to let in all the smells, silent but strong like her farts. Like it's so brilliant the way the design was revolving around your dog's needs and personalities. And then the burrito, the airplane. It's like, where do you come up with this stuff? And then there's all this stuff in the back. Do you see the dog treats in the back?
Oh yeah, that was great. It looked like a whole like lineup of food, like you're going to like Jamba Juice or something.
Like it says, plenty of
art.
compartments for treats and toys, bark amplifying speakers, all-terrain wheels, dog fart vents. I mean, there's nothing here you didn't think about, Sarah. This is just phenomenal. And great choice, because I think a lot of people, the first impulse is, oh, well, I'll just get some vehicles. But a bouncy house, I just think that's such a brilliant choice.
Yeah, first of all, bouncy house is one of those things that I think almost everyone has really good memories of, unless you got like kicked in the face or something by accident, which may or may not have happened to me, or may not have done before. Anyway, bouncy houses are great, and I think combining that with a dog, and then how you have the stick storage in the back, just it's classic. It's an immediate classic. I love it.
Airly says, I absolutely love these. I can imagine a picture book series with their antics. Yeah, like certainly saying you could make a book of these. And Sarah explains, we had just taken them to the vet. It did not go well. We are always thinking of them and making stories about them and songs. Oh, I love that. I mean, I think you all heard that Fluffy recently passed away, and it's like pets are such a big part of our lives. And I just love that you made this part of your piece. There they are. Love that photo. All right, everybody, the prizes go to Ellen. Wins the honorable mention. We were just thrilled with her depiction of the soap bottles and Q-tips and loofah. The fact that it was 3D, I thought was super cool. So congratulations, Ellen. And Sarah is the prize winner. Why did we pick Sarah's pieces?
I think we just went through several reasons why, but the creativity, the fun, the the colors, even the down to the actual technical aspect of the drawing is all really, really solid. And so, yeah, this was excellent. I absolutely loved your work.
Great job, everybody. This was a really fun art dare. Now we're going to move on to the October art dare, which is to create a master copy of a drawing that was made before 1950 in traditional media. We're going to make all of you brush up on your art history skills here, do some studying. And so let's go through some of the examples of master copies, because Jordan and I are actually going to be doing a stream on Sunday, and we're going to demo how to do a master copy. We're going to give you some tips on what to think about, because Jordan, I think oftentimes people see the exercise, they say, okay, master copy. Duh, we're going to copy a master's drawing. But a lot of people get very stressed about this assignment. They say, but it doesn't look just like Rembrandt painting. Is that really the point of this, though?
You know, I almost think when we say master copy, it's almost like a misnomer in a way, because the purpose of it is to study and to learn from them. You know, if you're trying to spend all of your time just putting every brush stroke or every pencil mark exactly the way they put it, you're going to have a hard time. You're probably going to end up frustrated. So study the composition, study the lighting, study the shape, language, and all these different things. And that's, I think, the best way to go about master copies.
Because you know something, a master copy, it is not about the product. Trust me, we have the real Rembrandt painting. Okay, I'm sorry, none of you are going to paint a real Rembrandt painting. And so you have to ask yourself, well, what's the point? The point is to really get inside the artist's head and to make brushstrokes that you would not ordinarily make on your own, and really to just analyze the painting. Because Jordan, you did a master copy in art school, right?
I've done several, and they were the ones that were difficult for me were the ones where I really tried to make it look exactly like the artist. Like I did a pointillism painting in my sophomore year at RISD, and I spent so long on it because I was trying to make it look exactly like it, and it just ended up stressing me out. I never even finished the painting, to be honest with you. And I don't want you guys to go through that pain at all. So the purpose of this is just study, learn as much as you possibly can, and then if it doesn't look exactly like the masters, move on. It's totally okay.
This truly, I think, out of all the art dares we've done, it's just the experience. And I want everybody to share. What are you learning? What are you noticing? Are you seeing brushwork that maybe you didn't bother to look at as carefully? Maybe you're starting to see color combinations, because yeah, we all look at artwork, but I mean, how much time do you really spend looking at an artwork for several hours the way you would with this exercise? Vivi asks, do master copies of E.H. Shepard illustrations in Winnie the Pooh count? As long as it was made before 1950, any drawing in traditional media is absolutely eligible. So get creative. And this is also a research project, because, yeah, I mean, you can use the typical artists that we all know about, but you'll find that there's a lot of other options out there. Now, I know a lot of people are really into Inktober, and October is all about ink for a lot of artists online. And so if you want to tie this into Inktober, pick an ink drawing for your master copy. For example, Durr did these beautiful ink drawings. I know Rembrandt did beautiful ink drawings. Goya did a whole bunch of these. And so I think that would be a great way to get started. Jordan, how would you suggest people go about picking the drawing that they choose to copy?
Pick something that you like first of all. I think if you learn from something that you already appreciate, it's going to make it much more exciting and it's going to make it much more worthwhile. So if you don't enjoy what you're seeing, don't pick it. I feel like it's almost a no-brainer, but really when we're in the thick of it, sometimes we make that mistake, and we want this to be fun for you guys to learn and enjoy it. We don't want this to be, a hassle or a slog for you.
I mean, in some ways, it's sort of nice to know it will never be as good as the Leonardo drawing. And that makes me relax a little bit more, because I'm like, it's fine. It's fine that it looks crappier than Leonardo's, right? I can handle that.
Yeah.
Juliet says we have to make it in the same media it was made, or we can use another. I would try to do something at least similar. I mean, let's say, for example, we have that Durer pen drawing, okay? You're not going to use the exact same pens that they had in the 15th century, but you could have something that's somewhat similar, and that's fine. I just think that if you have an oil painting and you try to make a pen drawing out of it, you're sort of missing the point of the assignment. So I would just say try to get it as close as you possibly can, and then you can really start to see the correlations a lot better. And okay, Slepnir is asking the same thing. Yeah, I don't think we're going to make frescoes, certainly. That's a little ambitious right now. All right, we also have the Art Dare Leap. Those of you who want to get really ambitious with this, don't just do one master copy, do 4. Do 1 per week, and I think you'll find you're going to learn a lot. This whole month, I mean, all of our Prof is about learning, but this Art Dare in particular is all about that. Now, the Discord is a great place to hang out to get help with your art dare. Jordan, can you explain why it's a good idea to hang out here and not just do the art dare by yourself?
I think one of the best things about art, and specifically the art prof community in general, is because you have other people to bounce things off of. There's so many people who have ideas and see different things and want to share their knowledge with each other. And I think by putting yourself in that community, it's always going to help you out. It's hard to learn in a silo, essentially. So yeah, definitely put it in Discord. Don't be shy. Everyone is very nice. We make sure of that.
And if they're not, we boot them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let me show you what resources we have for you, because a lot of these are going to make your life a lot easier. So first of all, go to artprof.org. You want to head to Learn and Create. There's an Art Dare section. And then this is where the October Art Dare page is. Now, if you click on that, you want to scroll down because we have all this supplementary information. You can revisit the slideshow that we just looked at. And I also put together a Google Drive folder with recommended drawings. You do not have to do that. Like, you can totally do whatever drawing you want to do. But I put together this folder of images because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are just like, I don't even know what's out there. I don't know what to look for. So if you're in that place, you might just try looking what's in the Google Drive folder. And for those of you who already know what to do, you're fine. But I was thinking I would put that together. I'm going to add more later on, but there's a good chunk of drawings in this Drive folder, which I think is going to be helpful. Vivi says, can the Art Dare Leap be the same artist medium, or do they have to be different artists and mediums? Whatever you want to do. I mean, Jordan, don't you think there's advantages to both, just doing one artist versus a bunch?
Yeah, I think you can go with either. I mean, the point is to learn as much as you possibly can. And sometimes you want to try something else as a creative decision just to see if you like it. And who knows, you might discover something new about yourself.
All right, so this is where the link to that folder is. And we've also put links to sites that have good image resources. So Google Arts and Culture, the Met Museum in New York, Smart History, which is a website on art history, the Getty, Artsy. So you can search for all those places. But I know drawings are sometimes a little bit harder to find than, say, paintings because they're a bit more obscure, which is why I wanted to put together that Google Drive folder. All right, to submit, you want to tag us on Instagram, art.prof, use hashtag artprofdare. And we do have an upload form, which is this Google form, but please don't use the form if you submit on Instagram. This is only for people who are not on social media. We have lots of prizes, which are super fun to give out to the winners at the end of the month. And we love sharing your stuff in our Instagram stories. So you'll see that we have in our highlights each art dare so you can see all the entries. And I think you'll find that people really learn from each other and seeing the other entries. And remember, this Google slideshow is available, so you can check it out on artprof.org, and the link is also in the YouTube video description below. ArtProf has a podcast. It's available on Spotify and also on iTunes. And in a few minutes, Jordan and I will be hanging out in the ArtProf Discord. We will be in the post live streams channel so we can talk about fake trailers for 80s movie remakes that don't exist, apparently. But that's okay. There's 2 Benedict Cumberbatch movies coming out, so I think I'm good.